Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. There's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister acknowledges that violent crime is a problem of the government of the day. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 19th July 2023. Details after this important message.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. Crime is a problem that the government has to deal with, admits Prime Minister Rowley. But he is accusing the opposition of capitalizing on the problem for election purposes. The United National Congress isn't backing down from the accusation. Instead, the party says it will continue to use crime. Alicia Boucher of TV6 News reports.
The government has time and time again been accused by the opposition of blaming everyone for the crime problem but itself. Well, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley had this to say to supporters who gathered at Harris Promenade on Saturday night.
We admit, we acknowledge, like everybody else is acknowledging, that violent crime is a problem of the government of the day, not only in this country. We admit that we have to face it on a daily and an hourly basis. And some of the actions of the criminals, your children, your own children, murderers that you bred, yours, our society, our citizens are doing things to us that are even shocking us. Horrible criminal conduct. We can't turn a blind eye to that.
The country is inching closer to the 2023 local government elections, and Dr. Rowley has his own accusations about the United National Congress as it pertains to crime.
I'm amazed at how they enjoy the bad news of the criminal elements behavior in Trinidad and Tobago. But I tell you, when that is your entire election campaign, then you have nothing to offer the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, Deputy Political Leader of the UNC, Dr. Rudal Munilal, has responded to Dr. Rowley.
Do not think you could intimidate, you could harass, you could use some type of reverse psychology so we will stop talking about crime. The Prime Minister is saying last night the UNC uses crime and they want to use crime in the election to frighten the people and so on. I want to tell you something, we will continue using crime. We will continue talking about crime.
Dr. Munilal says crime is what is making headlines in the country and every citizen is consumed by the present situation. Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Prime Minister Keith Rowley, in the meantime, has met with the heads of the police service and other high-ranking officers hours after he announced on the political platform a plan to have a special police unit that would police the police. Alicia Boucher again tells us more.
Around 1 p.m. on Sunday, the Office of the Prime Minister revealed that a meeting was in progress in which Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, who is also head of the National Security Council, was in talks with high-level ranking officers at a TTPS at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's. The announcement was attached to a short video of the meeting. The Prime Minister's office confirmed that Commissioner of Police Erla Harewood Christopher was present, along with her divisional heads. Also present was Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines and Energy Minister Stuart Young, who is also Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister. Little is known at this time of what a high-level meeting entailed. However, it comes following an announcement by Dr. Rowley on Saturday night, who said that this country now has the support of all federal agencies in fighting the issue of gun and ammunition trafficking.
I can tell you tonight, already 3 people have fallen prey to the U.S. federal authorities, 2 Trinidadians and 1 American, for supplying handgun ammunition to Trinidad and Tobago.
Dr. Rowley revealed that a week ago he met with National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines and experts from the United States.
Where the American government has undertaken, and we have agreed to accept it, to create within our police service what we call vetted units. Vetted units, meaning groups of special police officers, men and women, who are vetted to ensure that their integrity is intact. Because one of the problems that we have is that there are too many criminals in the police service.
The Prime Minister said it is affecting the crime problem externally as well.
So when you're going after the non-police criminals, they have their friends in the police service to tip them off, and we have to have vetted units. And I'm telling this country that we are prepared to pay extra to police officers in those vetted units if they will maintain their integrity and help us to root out the criminals in the police service, in the customs, in immigration, and in the parliament.
Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC, in Jamaica says Jamaica's economy performance indicators are moving in the right direction. More in this TVJ Business Report with Javon Keys.
Mr. Duncan says Jamaica's fiscal deficit, which is the difference between the government's income and spending, was lower than budgeted.
The fiscal deficit was, I believe, to be projected to be at 34.4 billion, came in at 18.6 billion. So we're doing better than targeted in relationship to a fiscal deficit. There was a primary surplus of 6.1 billion against a projected deficit of 10.2 billion. So this deficit overperformance resulted from a shortfall in expenditure by 2.3%, along with revenues and grants outperforming budget.
Meanwhile, the government collected more taxes than projected for the first 2 months of the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Mr. Duncan says for April and May, government revenues and grants amounted to $129.8 billion.
Exceeded the budget targets by 12.3 billion, 10.5% due to solid tax revenues, robust tax revenues continue. The growth in tax revenues continue, right? As tax revenues grew by $18.7 billion to 18.3% higher than the previous year, right? So therefore, tax revenues and grants were $22 billion above the same period of last year of $107 billion. So the economy continues to show underlying strength.
He says 2 main categories of taxes saw increased inflows, with one linked to the new compensation regime.
PAYE, which is ahead of target by 35% or 5.7 billion. So that speaks to our employment numbers and that more people are now paying PAYE, right? Travel tax, because visitor arrivals continue to exceed targets, is higher by 1.3 billion, 33% higher than budget. Tax and interest, because of the higher interest rates, we're ahead of budget by 32% or 1.3 billion. GCC imports, showing that there's underlying strength in the economy, was up by 1.2 billion. Non-tax inflows also increased significantly.
The pay-as-you-earn PAYE or income tax rate for individuals is 25% of one's annual salary, where income is between $1.5 and $6 million. 30% is charged on one's taxable income once it exceeds 6 million Jamaican dollars. No income tax is charged where one's income is below $1.5 million.
A showdown is looming between the Police Federation and the High Command in Jamaica, and the Federation is not joking. Giovanni Dennis of TVJ News reports.
God helps you if the membership is not paid their overtime come this month.
Chairman of the Police Federation, Corporal Rohan James, issuing yet another warning to the powers that be. The Finance Minister gave approval more than 3 months ago for the activation of the software system to efficiently calculate overtime hours for police officers following the Supreme Court's ruling last year. Recently, Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson told members the system was being installed. Speaking today at a funeral service for slain Police Constable Damian Blair, Corporal James accused the High Command of stalling the implementation of the new overtime system.
I am tired of the abuse being meted out and believing that persons can call me to intimidate me. I have not seen the man nor woman that is going to lead me into fear so that I will retreat from doing what the membership have asked of me to do.
Corporal James warned there could be problems in the JCF if there is another delay in the overtime payments this month.
That the Federation is not going to be muzzled, intimidated, nor bamboozled. We negotiate with government, not with High Command. The Council of Deputies have no moral authority to tell us what to do when a court orders that we are to be paid overtime work.
Constable Blair was fatally shot by his wife, Casey Ann Blair, during a dispute at their home in Somerset, Manchester on May 29.
Our lives will never be the same. The very fabric of our existence has been torn and will permanently remain that way.
The Federation is saying to our colleagues, let Constable Blair's demise be the last that ended in such a manner. Be on your best guard. Stand up, stand tall, use your training. It doesn't mean that you have to let family or anyone maim or harm you.
Giovanni Dennis, TVJ News.
Cleopatra Christie of the Bahamas Crisis Center comments on the rise in sexual assaults in the archipelago. Details in this ZNS News item.
Bahamas Crisis Center execs, meantime, calling for quick action to address the rise in sexual assaults in the country. This in the wake of 2 elderly women being subjected to such crimes in their homes and the rape of a 17-year-old girl whose perpetrator offered her a ride in the rain. The sexual assaults come as the police have reported a 64% increase in reported sexual offenses so far this year. Administrator of the Bahamas Crisis Center, Cleopatra Christie, holds firm that more must be done to protect women, girls, especially the elderly.
This type of behavior, this type of sexual attack affects these older women so badly that it could lead to other illnesses and even in some cases death. So it is very serious. We must take it seriously. We must do all that we can to protect these older women, these pearls in our society.
Christie calls for swift action on the part of the judicial system to address these types of assaults and really people's safety.
In the case of the 17-year-old who was catching the ride and it was raining, well, why not? You know, you maybe she's trying to reach shelter. She wants to get out of the rain and not even thinking that somebody who stopped to help her at the time when it was raining would be behaving that way towards her. So it is unfortunate that we don't look at these things. We look to blame the victim who may be other things passing through their minds, wanting to protect themselves, wanting to get out of the rain, rather than here is the perpetrator.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbards.hardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.